All right. There we go. Sorry. We got this going and hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction recovery issues, and topics. And today we're joined by Albert Charles Bramante. And he is a rare triple threat in the world of performance and psychology. So he is more than just a coach. He's more than a doctor. He's more than just one thing because, again, he's a triple threat. So, Albert, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, what your background's like, and what you do now?
Sure. Well. First, I want to say thank you, Keegan, for inviting me here. I'm really happy to be
Hmm?
here, and it's an honor. So, as you know, I wear a couple of hats, but primarily my job now is I'm a part-time psychology professor and
Hmm.
full-time talent agent. So
Okay.
I represent actors for film, TV, theater, commercial, print, and voiceover,
Oh, wow.
and I also teach at the college level. I teach different psychology classes,
Huh.
and the topic of the podcast is really, something that is immense interest and passion of mine.
Uh huh. Okay. Nice. So, what's your background? What got you into doing everything that you do now?
Well, yeah, I've always been interested in psychology ever since I was really, in my early years in high school. I
Hmm.
I grew up in a non conventional kid. I was not
Hmm.
the average child. You know,
Gotcha.
um, I love to read, and then I was pretty much kind of kept to myself as a kid. I mean, I
Hmm.
was popular, but I wasn't the best friend. I wasn't like
Yeah.
the athletic type.
Hmm.
Because in my family, I'm the youngest, and
Hmm.
in my family, everybody was athletes. I'm talking,
Hmm.
blue collar athletes,
Okay.
and so that was sort of an interest of mine for a long time.
Hmm.
For reading. So now they wanted to get me into, athletics and sports. They tried to suit me up. They thought, being a male, that would toughen me up, and it really didn't. It
Hmm.
was not an interest of mine, but I like to read. They
Hmm.
really did. That was something that they couldn't typically identify with.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that kind of got me out of that
Hmm.
notion was spending, because I didn't fit in with sports, to spend time in the library. So I
Hmm.
started reading a lot of books, and I wrote a lot of books about like psychiatry and psychology, and um, one book that really stood out for me that kind of got me tuned to psychology, psychotherapy was a classic, which is a classic now. It was Feeling Good by David Burns,
Hmm.
which is a primer, kind of like a primer on cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT.
Hmm.
And so it really got me interested in the therapy aspect. And then, of course, I was very interested in the brain and the defense mechanisms and all that kind of stuff was
Uh huh.
interest to me. Even being a junior in high school and having no psychology classes yet formally.
Uh
So
huh.
this was like my I knew this is something I wanted to do. Now on the sidetrack, I was also in many clubs and organizations, both in college and high school.
Okay.
And one of the organizations I was a part of was a drama club.
Hmm.
And then of course, in high school, and then of course in college, I took some acting classes as electives, some theater classes, and I
Okay.
really enjoyed it. And so I kind of felt like that was a place for me to be.
Hmm. Huh. In acting?
Acting, but mainly theater, like the
Hmm.
just when I then a couple I kind of like put that on the back burner,
Hmm.
and went to grad school for my master's, and then through an internship that I had, I made some connections, and then which led me, this is right around the time 9/11 happened, so the people I had
Hmm.
during my internship that were supervising me were also down on the ground, hitting the ground running, doing
Mm-hmm.
some crisis prevention and counseling and all that. And so they tapped me into help. They needed some bodies. And so part of that, a lot of the efforts that we were were with a lot of actors and filmmakers that were putting documentaries together. So we're kind of working alongside of that, and so I met a lot of actors again,
Ah.
which kind of brought me now back full circle into this space.
Uh-huh.
So I tried it myself a little bit as an actor. Maybe and it wasn't necessarily for me the acting side, like the outwardly acting side,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoyed. The one thing I can tell you is the type of people that like the archetype, the psyche of the actor, the energy. This was these were like my people, and I identified so much with them, and not just actors, but like filmmakers, producers,
Mm-hmm.
and I identified them ironically more than I did with other academics, even though I was training to be an academic.
Hmm.
So after a while of like kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, I said I want to support and I want to advocate for actors.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
so that kind of led me down the talent agent side of things.
Ah. Gotcha.
Yeah, and what I kind of felt like in some aspect I was able to combine both of my worlds
Mm-hmm.
because for my PhD, my area of specialization was self-defeating behavior and performing artists, which
Ooh.
comes out my book, which I wrote a book about called Rise Above the Script in
Mm. Okay.
published in 2024. So things kind of like slowly built up from there.
Mm. Huh. So first, real quick, can I ask what would you say in your words separates actors from academics? Because I guess the biggest thing would be what like actors are more extroverted, maybe.
Sort of. I think I the one thing that I can say, at least from was there was less pretenses and less they were more authentic and living in the moment and kind of like more free spirited and not as stuffy. Probably the best way
Huh.
I would put
Interesting. It's almost I would have almost thought the opposite, because being an actor, you're sitting there always having to do different parts. You're having to do different things, but at the same time, I can totally see how that would make sense because I know whenever I try to be more authentic, take my mask off and stuff, I'm just kind of off the wall. I can be all sorts of weird, but that's the thing
yeah,
is that I don't think we ever really grow up. I think we just learn how to act in public. Would you agree?
yeah. And I think you kind of mentioned the word like all sort of weird because when I was growing up, I a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're different," and I even got that "you're weird" thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's always been, even to this day, I brag. I'm like, yeah, I am a little warped. Um, Maybe that's why, I identify with
Yeah.
this group. I mean, now I kind of wear it like a badge of honor. Like, okay, I am, I am different.
Mm-hmm.
I'll proclaim that right up front. So I think that's kind of like that aspect. I think is what really the true essence of it.
Mm. Gotcha. So once you went to agent work, correct? Is that where you kind of started to use your academic skills a little bit more?
A little bit. I mean, I was able to use my academic skills. I still do. I mean, being a college professor, so that was kind
Yeah.
of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I think what helps me with my psychology skills, I think, helps me understand actors a
Hmm.
little bit more
Okay.
in a more favorable way. I think at
Hmm.
least.
Okay. So whenever we're talking about actors and stuff, what are some of the things that they struggle with? I imagine the first one would be finding a movie or play to be in, right?
Well, that's the first thing. Yeah, I mean, because it is a overly saturated industry. I mean, I'm in the New York area.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. So
You know,
being, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah. So being that I'm in the New York area, uh, the one it's very saturated. New York and LA, and you know
Hmm.
there's a lot of it's heavily saturated.
Hmm. Gotcha. So it really makes it difficult to even find an opening per se. And I guess once they fill up, they don't really let go of that position unless something drastic happens, right?
100, yeah, no, and well, not only that, it's like they can only bring hire one person for a role,
Mm. True. Yeah.
and they could be hundreds of people wanting that, vying for that role, and only one person can get it. So
Mm.
it's the struggle of, again, not finding work, but then also being told no over and over again.
Yeah. That would really start to set in those self-limiting beliefs and
Hmm.
self-defeating beliefs. So that's what you got your PhD in. So is that what you started to use your big brain for right there? Is helping people overcome like the person in the mirror?
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing. I mean, because the person in the mirror can be the really the one holding you back,
Yeah.
not other people. Even though it may
Mm.
seem like other people are holding you back, it really may be the person in the mirror.
Mm. Gotcha. So it whenever someone is dealing with that kind of feeling, whenever they look at themselves and they say, "This isn't me," or "I'm not who I may be able to like, I'm not who I am on the outside for other people." Would that be your description of imposter syndrome or something?
To some level, or it's more of not necessarily the roles that you're playing. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're setting out to play different roles. It's more of
Mm.
I've have been acting, auditioning for months and months, and I haven't had a job yet.
Mm.
What's going on? Or I should be working right now.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever they start to get to that mindset, is that where you kind of step in, or they probably reach out for help way after that, don't they?
Yeah, well, they a lot of times the person in the mirror, that realization doesn't really happen right away. It takes a
Mm.
long time. This is why it's a very sneaky thing, because
Mm.
most people have no idea that it's themselves that are holding themselves back. They may
Mm.
just think life is unfair, or the industry is unfair, or or
Mm.
or any of or any host of variations of that. So it takes a while for them to really figure out what exactly is happening here.
Gotcha. So whenever they're starting to struggle, what would you say are some of the signs that someone can look out for uh, whenever they're dueling the person in the mirror, right?
Yeah, I would constantly keep looking. Do you feel like that things are just passing you by? Do you feel like
Mm-hmm.
um, what life is being unfair? Do you
Uh-huh.
feel like things are not going your way, and you just can't seem to do anything right? And then that's when I would say, okay, let's have do a deep dive and maybe figure out what's going on here.
Gotcha. So, what kind of deep dive are you talking about? Because there's something that you do that would be really good for that, isn't there?
Yeah, well, the deep dive would just be kind of like, let's figure out what's going on here. What are you doing? So let's,
Mm-hmm.
what have you done? What actions are you doing on a daily basis
Mm.
to, keep your career, moving forward? How are you handling this? What are you doing differently?
Mm-hmm.
And are you in class? Are you engaged and actively in acting training? Are you how are you working to maintain your craft? So,
Mm.
and then we would kind of like take another look and see, um, tell me about your recent auditions. What's been going on there,
Uh-huh.
and that can begin to tell me if maybe that there's some sort of picture, like if they're always being late, if they're always missing appointments, if they're always sending in their tapes later, if it's a virtual audition.
Mm.
Why, what's going on here? And then that's when I would point out and say that you may be doing something um, that's holding you back.
Mm. Okay. So, whenever you start trying to figure out what's holding them back, is there a list that you start with, or do you just start asking more clarifying questions?
Do I ask clarify? Well, I would like to. I mean, the goal hopefully is for them to realize themselves that they're the ones holding themselves back, without
Mm-hmm.
me blatantly telling them that, because
Yeah.
otherwise there can be some resistance there. It's like, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll keep asking questions. What do you think went wrong here, or what do you
Uh-huh.
think was the reason here?
Mm.
What can you do differently if um, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you want different? And then of course when I say, well, I want to be booking my work. Okay, what would that look like more for you? Well, how would you be conducting yourself to ensure that you are booking your work?
Mm. Gotcha. So once you start to do that, it's kind of creating an action plan to get out of that. And I'm sorry about the deep dive thing earlier. I guess I was going for like a ocean dive right away, not sitting there
Yeah.
trying to do other things.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it all depends upon when they're ready. Like
Mm.
initially, they're hiring mainly to be their agent, so I don't know how open they would be and say, okay, tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your trauma. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would go that far yet. And
Mm.
because that's really what I mean by deep dive, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like going in thoroughly. Is once I have a rapport and once I think they're open to exploring it, then we
Mm-hmm.
would explore like maybe what patterns are going on in your
Mm-hmm.
childhood. What internal scripts are you running in your mind?
Mm-hmm. And with actors, what is one of the most common reoccurring running scripts that holds people back?
Well, one of the common things I've been seeing a lot, over the years is the idea of the struggling actor, or that I must suffer for my art, or that, this
Mm.
has to be painful.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it's like, well, no. I mean, who said that? And I think if you walk around with that mindset of like, I'm a struggling actor, I think
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to see here is your life is going to be continuing to struggle,
Mm. Okay.
and
So,
and you're going to be in a limiting basis. Yes.
gotcha. And but you also have to again remind they have to figure out that they're doing that to themselves, right? You can't just be
Right.
like you're doing that and then they just automatically listen.
Yeah. If it were that easy, it would be. But most people aren't like that. They're not, unless they, trust me, or kind of, get to know me.
Mhm.
I don't have that, capacity yet to be pointing this out until,
Later
we're
on.
able to have that conversation. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean that would make sense too because like you said, if someone is going for acting and coaching, it would definitely be one of those things where if they started to ask me about my childhood, I'd be like, are we doing like regression roles or something? That's kind of weird, you
Yeah.
know?
Right. And that would be kind of out of scope, and maybe not appropriate,
Hmm.
at that for that interaction.
Yeah.
So, but if you really sat there and said, I wonder where the self sabotaging is coming from,
Hmm.
okay, then we might need to do that, slight regressive work, to a point
Yeah.
where we can see what exactly is happening, and correcting, that, and
Hmm.
empowering, giving you the tools to empower you, so you don't make those, that you're not guided by that anymore.
Hmm. What's one of the things that people seem to have the most resistance of trying to change about their self-limiting beliefs?
The most resistance is kind of like getting them to do something different, getting them to step outside their comfort zone.
Mm.
It's like, well, I want to change, and you tell them, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't, I don't know, or just, doing stuff differently, implementing something new and something different.
Mm.
I know change is scary, and change, for as human beings,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, change can be really scary.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that kept me in my shit for a long time. Was just like, nah. I know I have a problem with alcohol, but nah, I'm not going to do anything about it. Like I thought
Hmm.
recognizing it was enough, but obviously not. But that's one of the
Right.
things is kind of like what you were saying. A lot of these people will dig themselves a hole without realizing that they dug a hole in the first place.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to even go on to it. Also has to do with your identity too. You know,
Ooh.
now if you identify yourself as this helpless person, or
Mm-hmm.
this victim, have the victim mentality,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be almost impossible until you can change, until you can know that there's a possibility of another story that you're telling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then otherwise it's just really a waste of time, because we're so connected and so attached to our identities.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine the same is for somebody who has an addiction. It's like, I'm an addict.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's why, like, sometimes even in the mental, one of the reasons why I kind of even separated a lot from the clinical world is I feel like sometimes people are, it kind of keeps people perpetuated or stuck in their diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having that label put on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. It's one of the things that I don't really personally, I don't agree with people holding onto a label for their identity for a longer period of time than a
Yes.
season. And that's the thing, is that I had to have the identity of a alcoholic or a recovering addict because I didn't have much of an identity to begin with. So
Yeah.
it had to start with something, and then I built stuff around it, and then I could remove that label, you know.
Well, it even comes down to simple saying, like, because I'll see, like, people say, I'm a struggling addict, I'm a recovering addict,
Mhm.
I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I'm like, that's great. First of all, your recovery, that's
Mhm.
wonderful. It's
Yeah.
the first step. But what about I'm sober?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you say I'm a recovering alcoholic, you kind of, your unconscious mind is still saying I'm an alcoholic,
Mhm.
and I'm always gonna have a problem with so and so.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, what if you would just identify the identity of a sober person? So sobriety,
Yeah.
that's your identity, and
Mhm.
and 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 living life. So, and the same thing goes with acting. Like, why do you have to be a struggling artist? Why can't you be a professional working actor?
Mhm.
And it's sort of like you're kind of reliving these scripts going on if you keep repeating this language to yourself.
Mhm. Mm. So I think that there's kind of something there with the struggling actor bit because it's kind of like it has its own stereotype slash archetype as addiction
Hmm.
does, correct? So
Yeah,
in a sense, they're kind of sitting there. They're even able to look at role models that have been super successful and go, oh, well, look at what they did and their history with this, that, or another. And if it took them that long, they went through those struggles. I have to do the same if I want to get there, right?
yeah. Well, partly that too, and or they don't really acknowledge their struggles, because
Mm,
very often sometimes in our industry you'll hear, especially in the acting industry, oh, so and so was an overnight success, which
mm. Doesn't
may
happen.
be true to get the notice
Mm,
notoriety. They've happened overnight. What we don't understand is that sometimes it took them 15 to 20 years of hard work and being on the grind to be an overnight success.
mm-hmm,
So, you just may not have known about them a year ago, but they were working behind the scenes for a long time. And I
mm,
think a lot of times, especially young actors, when they just either come out of conservatory, they graduate from university, they're coming to, either New York or LA with their bright eyes, which is great,
mm-hmm,
and enthusiasm, but they're not equipped to handle the reality that, you know, there's going to be highs and lows.
mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things that I don't think we prepared the youth well enough to be able to go into the real world and say, look, even though you tried everything you could and you did your best, it still wasn't up to par for someone, and that's okay, you know? And I think that it's also really important that you had made mention of we don't
Hmm.
see the years before someone went super popular, or I guess nowadays we have the internet, so it's viral, but early in acting and stuff, that was kind of the thing, right? Someone just landed a really good gig or a good role in a movie that just happened to make everyone go, "Oh, wow, did you see that movie?" And it was the first one they were in that got to that level, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, but they might have been acting for 10 years before that, you know,
Mhm.
before that big role, and they might have been in a lot of other movies that you'd never see because they're so obscure and ultra low budget that they may be at the local film festival. And that's about it.
Mhm.
So it really depends on that. And um, also, what I found too is that when you hang out with that struggling identity or even that addict
Mhm.
identity, the opposite can be scary. Like success can be scary, sobriety can be scary,
Oh yeah.
downright. And so there's a
Mhm.
major fear of success happening too.
Mm. Yeah, and that isn't that the weirdest thing because a lot of people are always just afraid of failure, but success. How do you guide people through that kind of fear? Because it's so different, isn't it?
It really is, but because it's first of all, it's not a conscious fear. Nobody will walks around saying I fear success.
Yeah,
But
good point.
it's very pervasive though,
Mm.
because it's a subconscious fear.
Mm.
So a lot of times we first have to change the identity too, like
Mm.
um, and then slowly guide somebody to change.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay, so how does that look like? What are some of the steps that we go through to do that for someone that you work with, or how would you say someone could do that for themselves?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would do is really kind of focus on what exactly is going wrong.
Okay.
What exactly are how do you see yourself is the
Mm-hmm.
first thing. And when a lot of times very often happens with fear
Mm-hmm.
is our conscious mind, our brain, which is there to protect us and keep us alive,
Mm-hmm.
will come up with an automatic repulsion about something. I'm not doing that. No,
Yeah.
that may be the very need to open the door to explore. Okay, this we've got to unpack.
Mm. Okay.
Why do you think this is such a bad idea?
Mm-hmm.
Or what makes you so not interested in doing this?
Mm. Gotcha.
Because your brain has one job, and it's to protect you and keep you alive.
Mm.
And it'll make things seem logical, like this is not a great idea.
Uh-huh. And you're saying sometimes we have to make that leap of faith, essentially?
Yes, but do it gently and in a sense. And of course, do a smart leap of faith, but definitely we've got to do that.
Hmm. Gotcha. So how would someone mitigate the risks of success, would you say?
Well, first, I think even just having a conversation that this could be what's going on, the fear of success.
Mm. Okay.
And then like okay, if I were to wave a magic wand and tomorrow this happened, what would
Mm.
life look like for you? How are you feeling inside?
Hmm. Okay.
And then if there's any resistance, that's what we would need to explore.
Ah, gotcha. So would you say that people are more afraid of success because they're going to excessively encounter more change?
Yes, that's a big thing. Change and the other consequences that may come of that. More responsibility. Um, you no longer can play victim anymore. Number one, that's a big one.
Huh.
Yeah, and or even relationships too in your life may change.
Hmm. Yeah.
People may no longer may feel threatened by your success.
Hmm.
And I even hear this a lot with again with those in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Is very often they big thing they have to do is get rid of their entire social circle sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's really scary to do
Yeah.
and hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be keeping somebody back too. Is
Mm-hmm.
just okay, they don't want to do that. They don't want to go through that. And then another thing that really I find, especially with the struggling artist mentality,
Uh-huh.
is the thought of having a lot of money is scary.
Mm. Really?
Now, everybody you talk to will say they want more money, and they do on a
Yeah.
conscious level.
Yeah.
But it also depends upon how you're raised.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
a lot of times, sometimes you get, there's, it's passed down again, a misquote, but a passed down, which is money's the root of all evil, or
Yeah, yeah.
money is bad, and that's what
Mm.
we're taught,
Mhm.
by, morality, police in our lives, our parents, religious
Mhm.
teachers. But it was really the initial quote was the love of money was all evil, not money.
Mhm. Yeah.
So and that's where some people believe, internal it may have the deep, inner belief, which is
Mhm.
that money is bad and money is will make people evil or bad. So,
Mhm.
and what does your brain say? Well, we won't have money. That's all.
Yep. It's funny that you say that because that was actually something that I've been working on myself lately, and I didn't realize until I think it was probably late last year. But I was like, oh, I think I actually like really hate money, and that's why I'm having problems like holding on to it or saving it or
Mm-hmm.
doing things. And I was like, I just had to switch the mindset of like I hate it to more of a I can tolerate it to an extent, and then I kind of like it just because I realize the financial, well, it's not the financial security, it's the everything else it can help provide that I'm
Right.
here for. It's not the money itself. Money itself can go like fly in the wind for all I care, but it's the
Yeah.
things that it affords.
Well, money is neutral, really, if you think about it.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
completely neutral concept.
Yeah.
What you do with it now how what you do with it now. You could also make the argument, like, you know, look at how many more people you can help if you have more money. Look at all
Exactly.
the amount of things you can do for
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
So, I that's another thing we sometimes have to work on too is our views of money, because that's a big um, thing that will hold you back. Will be that villain in the mirror type thing.
Yeah.
Is your view of money? If you don't have a healthy view of money, I think a person's gonna have a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Especially whenever it comes to success and being an actor, because actors are supposed to bring in the big bucks, right?
Yeah. Well, not only that, but again, bring in the big bucks and be famous. Because a
Mm.
lot of times you get, most actors, at least the ones I work with, go into it because they love what they do and
Uh-huh.
they like the craft. But then you get a lot of people in their family be like, so when am I going to see you in the movies? Or what have I seen? What have you been in that I've seen you in, that I might have seen you in?
Mm.
And it's that constant sometimes reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And then an actor might say, well, now I'm just auditioning. Really? You've been doing this for 6 months to a year, and you haven't booked anything, and
Mm.
maybe it's time to find a real job is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. If yeah, and that would definitely not play well into the struggling artist mentality or anyone that has any sense of self-worth or anything like that.
Right.
Really is get a real job like, but you like watching movies, right? Like I'm trying to help make those things for you.
Well, it was interesting because a lot of people like were during the actors strike and the writers strike of
Mm.
23,
Mm-hmm.
people were trashing actors and all this. I'm like, okay, what did you do during 2020 during the pandemic? And it's like, well, I watched Netflix. I'm like, how do you think that stuff was paid that you were able to consume and watch
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
by actors and writers? There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a form of art, and that's the thing is that I think art is meant to be made. I think it's meant to be shared. I think it's meant to be created in the first place. You know.
Right. It sure is. It's meant to be created, shared, and help to inspire.
Yeah, to help create more art of whatever variety or medium it may be. Right.
Exactly.
Real quick, where
It's
can
art.
people? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say art begets art. It just builds upon another.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Real quick, where can people find you if they're seeking your help in anything?
So you can go to my what a couple. You can go to my agency website if you're an actor, BramanteArtist.com.
Okay.
Or you can go to my personal website, albertbramante.com, and connect with me there.
Gotcha. Sweet. Let me get that on the screen for everyone else to see that. Bam. Awesome.
Great.
Yeah. What all can they find over there whenever they're looking for your help?
Well, you can find like, especially on my website right now, I have a lot of different audio recordings that you can get
Okay.
that can help you, break your confidence, improve your confidence, help you with public speaking,
Hmm.
leadership, or any type of addictions.
Wow. If these are the things I'm looking at, there's a lot on here that almost anyone could find something
Yes,
to use. That is really cool.
100%. Yeah, no, there's something for everybody on there.
Wow. Yeah, addictions, alcohol, anger management. A lot of people need that.
Yeah,
Anxiety, body image, business skills, cancer support, childbirth, children's issues, confidence, fears, phobias, health, imposter syndrome. Wow, you've really got everything on here.
yeah,
There's quite a few more, but I think you hit the head on every social issue someone
everything.
needs help with.
Exactly. So there's something for everybody. Feel free to check it out, and yeah, get in touch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so what is one of the things that you've enjoyed most about what you've done helping other people overcome themselves?
I think it's watching people shine
Mm, okay.
and become the person that they're meant to be.
Uh-huh.
Live their dreams and do what they love, and that's the most amazing thing.
Mm. Yeah, I can imagine because that's one thing to sit there and watch someone on screen and be like, "Oh yeah, they're awesome in that role," or "They did really good in this role." But then to actually know them behind the scenes, to see them go from probably feeling worthless to being someone that everyone sits there and looks at and admires almost, right?
Yeah,
Mm. But I can really imagine that that goes and gets to some people's heads. So, do you help people like kind of calm their ego in a sense?
yeah. I mean, most actors that I know are humble. I mean, sometimes they do get the ego
Mm-hmm.
rush, but um, a lot of times I just simply might not work with somebody who has like too much of that,
Mm.
inflated ego, because that is a self. I mean, it's a self sabotaging thing, but until they realize it,
Mm.
there's nothing that can really be done.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I'm so yeah, I mean, hmm. No, that would make sense because ego just kind of does that anyways. It just kind of drapes
Yeah,
that curtain in front of your eyes so you can't even see the mirror.
right. So, and there's no coaching that can really go on beyond that
Hmm. Except for
until
telling,
they're
gotcha.
so.
How many people have you had to turn away for that?
Sometimes, I mean, like I'll sometimes meet actors at events, and I'll be like, "So where are you training now?" And the
Hmm.
one sign that I'll often see that this is a problem with, "Oh, I don't need any training. I'm already well trained enough."
Fair
And
enough.
usually, I just kind of gracefully exit the conversation with,
Yeah.
"Thank you. It was nice meeting you, and good luck to you."
Yeah.
Because I know that that already they're self sabotaging.
Yeah. And you're not looking to try to pull someone out of it unless they're asking for help
Right,
in that regard.
right. Hmm.
Because it's really just going to be uh an not just an uphill battle, but kind of like, oh, who is that character? The one guy that has to push the boulder up the mountain forever. You know who I'm talking about, I
Yeah,
think, maybe. But it'd be one of those things, and then just like every other kind of bad thing trying to drag you down at the same time.
right.
So,
Hmm.
one of the things that we deal with as a person that's just struggling with mental health issues really is wondering, why am I doing this, or why is this happening to me? And like you said before, it's those subconscious beliefs. So what are some other subconscious things that people might do that they need to be on the lookout for?
Again, just the playing like constantly just having that victim mentality, watching the language they use, like if they're
Hmm.
using the like language of deficit, like they're deficient in some aspect, that would be the first thing I would say. Okay, we may have a problem here, have an
Hmm.
issue here, like. Um, if they're always kind of like just playing the victim, in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So victim mentality is something that we need to really be aware of. And so victim mentality is more of everything happens to me, boo-hoo, this sucks. And we're trying to just get people to say, okay, that happened. What can I learn from it, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So would you call that personal growth, growth mindset? Is there another term that would be more apt for actors, possibly?
No, I think just a growth mindset is really a big thing. Cultivating a growth mindset, yes. But yeah, absolutely, I would definitely say it's a growth mindset.
Okay, cool. And how long does it usually take for someone to develop that kind of growth mindset?
It varies. I mean, ideally, would like to have them to have it since childhood, but that would be the best. It really, again, people don't really change easily until they're
Mm.
really wanting to see a change. So
Mm.
it can take a while, or it can take a few times once they realize how much power they have in their control.
Mm. How much power they have in their control. I like the way that you put that because it really does put it back on them.
Yes,
And then that's also where that subconscious fear of success would come back into play and make them sit there and go right back into a loop, right?
absolutely, yes.
So once they hit that loop, though, what's the kind of thing to sever the loop? Is it still all on them, or does it take some outside intervention sometimes?
No, it's kind of all on them, but I mean, support is great, but it's really they have to take the first step. It's
Gotcha.
like the whole the metaphor of like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And jumping back to the imposter syndrome, what
Hmm.
is one of the heaviest things that people deal with while handling imposter syndrome?
Um, again, it's just really that self doubt coming in,
Mm.
and a lot of times it's the inner critic that keeps popping in there. Now, again, sometimes the inner critic can be there. It's really the purpose is there to protect us, but it's doing not a good job of doing so. It's not doing the job we need it to. So,
Mm.
sometimes it's all about just telling your inner critic, you know, sit down on this one for a bit.
Mm. Gotcha. Hmm. So it's all kind of going back to getting rid of those beliefs, but in a sense, we're having to figure out why those beliefs are there in the first place and
Hmm.
then going from there.
Right. Well, the biggest that's the first thing is figuring out why they're there.
Mm. Okay. So figuring out why they're there and then going from there.
Yeah, and then reframing them. Yes.
So how do you like to usually reframe those kind of things?
Well, the one thing if they say I've never done this or I never did that, I said, well, let's add a word to that. Yet.
Okay.
Well, I haven't been in a movie yet. No, you haven't been in a movie yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, so that's really the biggest thing is I haven't been in it yet.
Gotcha. So that goes back to what you were saying intentionally, originally was being more intentional with your words.
100%. Yes.
Ah, gotcha. So there's a little bit of trick to wording to ourselves, right? Because words are magic or spells in a sense.
You
And
absolutely, definitely, there is magical there.
yeah. And so whenever we're sitting there beating ourselves up and everything, we're just a bad wizard. And then everyone else is just trying to let us know that we're actually
Yeah, but I
capable
wouldn't even
of
say
that.
bad wizard because that's limiting belief right there. Like you're
Ooh.
misinformed, maybe, or just not or not doing the right way. You're a great wizard, but your just execution may not be
Mm,
optimal here. In this one.
gotcha. Oh, that's a good way to put that. And yeah, language is one of those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can tell that I've had to suffer through my own bits of limiting beliefs and still do.
Oh yeah, we
But
all have. It's-
yeah, and I think that
we've
it's
all.
important. Sorry, what was that?
I said we all have done that, and it's important. That's why it's important to us to have conversations like this to
Yeah,
bring it out in the open.
yeah, for sure. Because I know if I had heard other people tell me about it back in the past, I would have been like, that maybe sounds like something I need to do. And maybe it would have got
Yeah,
the ball rolling a little bit sooner. But that's the thing is that these conversations haven't really happened too much in the past.
right.
So
Yeah,
is that kind of what you're doing with all the podcasting and stuff, is trying to get more awareness out there for upcoming actors so that the movie age doesn't die?
yeah. Upcoming actors and those who've been in it for a while, they don't lose the focus and that they're not struggling.
Yeah, for sure. Um, who's your favorite actor that you've worked with, real quick?
I mean, there's a lot, that I've that are that I've had over the years that I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
Um, I guess that the main thing is just watching a few of them that I've started. It started out with me. They
Hmm.
moved to LA, and then just really took off, and it's I'm so happy for them, because
Oh,
they're doing what they love, and they're actually thriving.
hmm. Yeah. And that's awesome. You said so earlier that you like to see people shine in their light and everything, and
Yes,
here you are actually putting that example to light itself.
of course.
So, real quick, I do have a little bit of a game show segment if you're wanting to play that real quick.
Sure, look at that.
All right. So, this one is called Mindset GPS, and I'm just going to ask you 5 questions, and you just tell us which way we need to go and what roadblocks to look out for. Just a couple of them.
Okay.
All right. So, number one, an actor freezes up at auditions because they can't stop overthinking. How would you reroute them?
I would just tell them to live in the moment. They're usually overthinking because they're
Mm.
fearful. They're worried about being judged, or they're worried about the outcome. Just
Mm.
enjoy it. Enjoy the darn piece in a sense. Just have fun with it.
Oh, gotcha. That sounds really good to me. Number two, a client lands a dream role but is paralyzed by fear of success. What's the first mindset shift you'd recommend?
Getting to a state of gratitude and self congratulation. So allowing yourself to have that role that you deserve it.
Ooh, ooh, I like that. And number three, a musician keeps sabotaging themselves by procrastinating right before big performances. How do you steer them back onto the course?
It's usually got to do with nerves. So that's um, one of the things I'd like to reframe. Another reframe is instead of saying that you're nervous, why not tell yourself you're excited?
Ooh,
Because the sensation of exciting and nervousness are the same thing.
yeah. Yep, I was about to say that too. Fear and excitement for me feel almost the exact same.
Yes.
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number four. Someone struggles with constant comparison to others in their field. What's the mental detour that you'd prescribe?
Ending the self comparison is probably the biggest thing I would say.
Hmm.
Is don't really look at social media. The only person you should be comparing yourself with against you is yourself.
Mm, yeah, I love that. All right. And then number five, a writer feels like a fraud despite years of hard work and accomplishments. How would you reset their internal GPS?
Well, the first thing is that we would sit back and do a deep dive of all of their successes.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
a lot of times when people are going through this cycle, they don't feel that these successes are worth it, or they even forget all of the successes that they had. And so that's why we want to take a deep dive because there's a good chance that they might have missed some successes that they already had
Hmm.
and overlooked them.
Okay. Ah, I really like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Dr. Albert, we are going to award you the honorary title of the Mindset Maestro for retrieving sanity for playing Mindset GPS, and I thank you very much for playing that. But I've got
Well,
one
thank
more
you.
question.
Sure.
All right. So, Dr. Albert, the name of this podcast is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how all facets of living life impact mental health. Looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life, what does retrieving sanity personally mean to you today, and what's one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone on that journey?
Um, Retrieving sanity is peace of mind, and
Hmm.
maybe not insanity, not in the sense of not being, crazy, but I'm thinking it's more peace of mind,
Mm.
and that means doing what you love and being authentic.
Ooh. Okay. I love that. That is simple and it's straight to the point, and it is something that I think everyone could actually do if they put their mind to it.
Yes.
So, let's see. One more time, where can people find you and your websites?
So you can go to my website, albertbramante.com,
Okay.
and you can also find me on socials too. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, and feel
Okay.
free to follow me, and let's talk.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of those things is that with the age of the internet, we can reach out to almost anyone that we can really think of, right? And that's one of the
Mhm.
things is that you're out here helping so many people just by doing what you do. And I just got to say thank you on behalf of everyone that is going to hear this episode, see this episode, or possibly be affected by this episode by the ripple effect, you know?
Well, again, thank you for having me on.
Of course. Yeah, it's something that you said you're passionate about trying to help people with, and it is my passion to help get that passion out there for other people. So, one of the things that we do like to see at Retrieving Sanity is people that have been through it themselves and they're now on the other side of it, trying to help other people back through it. And
Hmm.
it sounds like that's exactly what you're trying to do.
One,
And
yes.
and so I just got to say thank you for being the kind of person that you needed back in the day because I know that I could have used a friend like you, you know?
Well, thank you. Thank you. That I appreciate that,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I appreciate having you on. And I think this is a very important podcast, and we need much more people to listen and download.
Yeah. Well, I do agree with you there. So, do you think that we could see you on in the future to see about more self-limiting beliefs or anything like that?
Absolutely, love to come back.
Awesome. And with that being said, I don't really think that there's any other questions I have that are coming straight to mind right now because we are getting
Okay.
out of time. And I don't want us to go to the point where it's like we should have stopped before we got to the
Yeah.
point where it's like, what do I cut out because it's so good? Uh, so, um, is there any last words that you'd like to leave with the audience today?
I would just say you are enough.
Hmm. Okay. You are enough. I think that that is enough. Well, Dr. Albert Bramante, I thank you very much for being on Retrieving Sanity. I thank you
Thank
for
you.
helping. Yeah, I thank you for everyone that is going to be affected by this. And maybe someone out there is going to be inspired to go be an actor because they can realize they can do it too. So,
Mhm.
everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. As always, love yourself if you can, love others if you can, but you got to love yourself first. And we're going to be here in the meantime. If you need friends, we got a Discord. Go subscribe to YouTube, wherever else. But also check out albertbramante.com. And we'll just see y'all next week. So until then, much love. Schlan.